Hello, welcome to Heavy No More. I'm your host, Jaffe, and today we're going to react to a video by the coach. And we still going to be talking about, the dangers of steroids and the harm that steroids do. He's well versed and well educated on this topic. I've been watching him for a while. I'll put all the links in the description on the bottom. Please like, share, subscribe, and share the message for those who need it, man. So we're about to get this shit started, and let's see what's going on here.
So he's 280 pounds at 20 years old. He has one of the most insane physiques I think I've ever seen. That I was really glad I did that. I was really glad that I stopped. Disclaimer, this video is educational and informative in nature. Do not contact anyone shown in this video. Also, this video is discussing steroids. Do not use steroids. This is entirely for educational and entertainment purposes only. This is probably one of the most insane amounts of progress I have seen a 20-year-old make in regards to bodybuilding ever before. But it's also one of the most concerning videos that I've ever reviewed with you guys. So I want to kind of break this down and show you what the fuck I'm talking about, because it is pretty crazy. Now, if you don't know,
And like I said, he's 20. You see the condition he's in. You can tell he's been taking steroids for a long time. So obviously you can tell that he has been taking steroids way before he was 18. And you can see the danger of this. And you can see, so now he's only 20 years old and he's been probably taking this for 4 to 5, maybe even 6 years already. So just imagine if he's lucky enough to reach 40 and he's still taking that, which obviously he's going to be taking more and more because he wants to be a bodybuilder. He wants to be the best. So that's the problem, and that's what I do not like.
this is Albertas Krenicki's. I am terrible at pronouncing names, so I'm already sorry, brother. I've fucked your name up.
Yeah, I mean, it's not too bad. I mean, it should be okay. I'm not too worried about it, really.
But basically, he is a 2005er, 20 years old, going on 21. And you can see from the video that he is diabolically huge. He genuinely has one of the most insane physiques I think I've ever seen for a 20-year-old. Specifically, his legs are absolutely ridiculous, like stupid big, just ridiculous.
Goddamn right.
But regardless of that fact, I do think that there's some interesting things to point out. He recently posted a video on his YouTube, and I want to see what it takes to manufacture a physique just like this one and talk about it.
Okay, now I think it's time to talk about not nasty questions. What's my cycle currently? So right now I'm doing my biggest cycle I did. Hey boys, hey Sigmas. So my second video right now, I'm very thankful for the support. In my first video I got a lot of comments, likes, shares. Every review matters, so thank you guys. And actually I decided to do Q&A, and I asked questions on Instagram. If you don't follow me on Instagram, I can leave in the description, so please follow. Currently it's Sunday and my weight has been 281 pounds, 127 kg fasted. So I'm really growing. I'm becoming mass monster.
So he's 280 pounds at 20 years old, and he's talking about how people have liked and shared and enjoyed his contents, and I think it's fairly obvious why. He has a truly freaky genetics. And sometimes I think that people confuse the amount of individuals watching them as a relatively good thing, which it can be for sure, and it's a path to money.
Here comes the money.
But sometimes it's also just because they are a spectacle. They are so crazy that people just have to watch. It's sort of like the circus act. And a lot of the viewers here are definitely in support of this, but I think a lot are also expressing their concerns, especially when you jump over to Instagram and you look at his comment sections. Everyone is expressing concern, a lot of people. Now, I do think that what's unique about this guy, specifically, compared to a lot of the people that we talk about on this channel, is the fact that he seems to have his head on pretty fucking straight, okay? He knows what he wants to do. He wants to be a professional bodybuilder. I can respect that he's making a career goal and sort of actualizing it for himself. Does that mean he's healthy? No. Does that mean he's running the best possible cycle for himself?
And he's definitely not healthy. And you can see that last picture, he was 19. So like I said, obviously he was taking it before, 18. And you can tell the influence, like I said, bodybuilding. And and the money, and it's hurting children, it's hurting kids, because that is the mass audience. Um, that is definitely the mass audience, because the older guys, they're already, if you're already in your mindset of being fat and you living through these people who you know are enhanced and don't work hard, and you analyzing physiques, and you criticizing people that are natural and looking great because you think they need to look like they steroid up, you're already a fat slob that just gonna stay a fat slob, and you living through other people, and you hiding that obesity that you carry around. But this is about the children, and we need to stop pumping this type of content. And like he will explain later, everybody doesn't make it. So if this guy doesn't make it, he just hurt himself and risked his whole life for no reason. But the majority, and steroids are not going to give the same effect to everybody.
No. Does that mean he's probably doing the amount of health checkups that he needs to? No. But at least he has a direction, and we're not seeing a guy driving Hellcats, drinking beer, and doing cocaine while injecting Trent, which is the standard of practice now. Oh, and I forgot gambling.
Oh my God! So I think if I would reach 130 kilos, it's 286 pounds, I could be called as mass monster for my height. I'm 5'9", 176, maybe more on a good day if I drink more water, but right now this is my height, so it's actually good. So yeah, this is my bed setup, old school method, and I'm very sweating right now because I hold a lot of water weight, so yeah. So as you know guys, this thing helps me cool down.
The guy can barely breathe.
I'm not that rich, so I need to bring this like that, and I start more like this. So yeah.
20 years old.
How much he's breathing, and that tells me a lot of what I need to know already. Pulmonary hypertension, constriction of blood vessels. I mean, it's just not a good thing.
20 years old.
Fatigue from sitting on the fucking bed. That's not a good thing, and you never want to be in a position like that as a human being. You should be aiming for cardiovascular fitness. And yeah, you could say, well, he's massing and he's got a lot of weight on him and all this shit, and sure, but you should be keeping up with your cardio. You should be doing activities that encourage cardiovascular function and health, fitness generally. I want to know what this motherfucker's resting heart rate is. I want to know what his HRV is. I want to know what his respiratory rate is while he's sleeping. That is concerning.
Next question. My favorite bodybuilder and who made me start. So basically I started 5 years ago. When I was 15, I was new.
There you go.
My inspiration is my dad. My dad was a bodybuilder back in our Arnold era, 1972. That year he competed. He competed more than 1 year. So he was actually a very good bodybuilder. I'm adding his photos. It's black and yellow because, you know, it's 50 years ago. So there was only like classic physique guys. You know, they were not using any insulin back then and not doing so much drugs. So they couldn't grow as much and didn't have that information we have now. So yeah, Arnold era was fantastic. And I'm inspired by him because I was looking at his photos, how he looked when he was younger. Also, he looked good when he was older. He maintained his muscles well. So he inspired me.
He said that his inspiration is his dad here, and then he shows pictures of his dad, which his dad looks very good. I would probably beg the pardon of saying that his dad is most likely natural at this point and does look very good. And I get that the dad here is likely the source of inspiration, but I also wonder how his dad reflects to this situation. And if he can, I don't know, but the physique that he has now is so far gone and detached from where his father was. It's almost like what else derived inside of him to say, I'm gonna go crazy with it. He said he started training when he was 15 years old. I don't exactly know when he started gear, but again, you're looking at somebody who's gone way far, way further than anybody ever has before in his lineage, and is doing way more than likely anybody has as well. You could argue that his dad was probably a pretty healthy and fit person in a lot of his career as a bodybuilder. Can the same be said about his son?
My favorite bodybuilder, I would say, is Nick Walker and Dallas McCarver. Rest in peace. It's because they're always locked in. Yes, they can eat some cheesecakes, but on a diet, on a off season, they always locked in. They're eating all their meals. They're counting every gram of food, so they're prioritizing everything, and that's why they're looking like mass monsters, I think. Also, yeah, genetics. So I'm doing the same. I'm always on my plan. I'm always locked in, and I have a dream. Day by day, I'm becoming mass monster, like I said.
Okay, so this makes a little bit more sense. His favorite bodybuilder is Nick Walker and Dallas McCarver. Imagine that. Dallas McCarver passed away very, very early. We made an entire video documenting the entire situation. And basically, he passed away from the overuse of steroids. In his case, it was very obvious. His organs were dramatically enlarged from his abuse of steroids. He was also known to be one of the fastest growing bodybuilders that ever hit the scene. And you can imagine that.
And I'm not wishing no bad on this young man, but as you can see, the percentages and the chances, and if you was a betting man, which one you think he's going to end up like? This guy inside was rotten from all the steroid use. And like we just said, look at the age. He just admitted 15 years old, he started taking this. So by the time he gets to maybe even 30, I mean, it's sad to say, but the percentages and the chances are real high that he's going to end up just like this person here. And it's sad. It's real sad. Real sad.
That had a toll on his physiology, and it did. And we're also witnessing the same thing here with this guy. Listen to him breathing. Again, he's like snoring while he's awake. It's not a good sign.
That's my cycle currently. So right now I'm doing my biggest cycle I did since my whole journey, and but please consider, guys, don't do this. Please don't copy my cycle. It's very bad.
He has to start off by saying, don't do what I'm doing. It's very, very bad. And that's just crazy. I think every bodybuilder that does YouTube and has an influence should start just like that. Now, because I think it should at least help your conscience. Because it's just sad that everybody believes they're going to be the next Sam Sulek. And I understand it. I get it. And I get it. We can't control what other people do. And we can't blame others. But we can blame them when they're encouraging it, when they're supporting it. Like Derek Lunsford, who just did a video with underage children who've been taking steroids, who want to follow his footsteps. And he puts them on one of his videos and starts promoting them. And now how many kids are going to think, oh, well, let me do what these kids are doing. So maybe one day I could be on Derek Lunsford's video. Maybe I could be on a Sam Sulek video. Maybe, I mean, that is the sick, and that is the problem I got right there. That is just unacceptable.
Talk about a cycle. He starts with, don't copy it, it's very bad. That's never a good thing you want to preface with when you're talking about winning a $5 trophy, my brother. That is never a good thing that you want to say. And it concerns me. I don't even know what he's going to say. I haven't watched the video yet, so let's dig into it.
I'm doing 500 tests right now, a weekly, 500 mast a week, then every day 8 units of growth hormone. Yeah, that's why my nose grew so much. Then insulin, 8 units pre-workout, 15 units post-workout, and Lantus insulin, it's long-acting insulin, 25 units every day. Then I'm doing peptides, BPC capsules for my digestion, and then BPC 157, 500 mcg a day, just peptides, and then MOTC 1 mg, and then T4 75 mg for my thyroid. So yeah, that's my cycle currently, and that's actually the most I took.
Okay, so he's taking 500 milligrams of testosterone, 500 milligrams of masteron, and a variation of different insulins and growth hormone, and then a variation of different peptides, and then at the end there he has thyroxine or T4 in there. So there's a lot to talk about here, especially when we're starting from this audience. I'm not going to go into super big details about these drugs, but I will talk about them a little bit. T4, thyroxine, is what you generally are going to need as a bodybuilder, especially when you're growing quite rapidly. It puts a lot of stress on the thyroid access, and especially you'll see TSH numbers fly through the roof on dudes who are growing fast and generally are larger than the average bro. And so as a result, TSH being high results usually in thyroid cancers or lots of other mishaps. But in and of itself, thyroid or thyroxine, specifically T4, is almost anabolic. You'll notice in a lot of data they actually use this in conjunction with other hormones to grow chickens faster, for instance.
Big black Australop cockerel, one of 500 birds that are being judged today at the show.
Or to grow cattle faster. It's kind of the same principle when applied to humans. Not really any kind of deleterious effects to one's health. In fact, I'd argue it's actually a decent option because it does lower TSH, reducing the risk for thyroid cancers. So kind of a win there. He's taking an assortment of different peptides here, BPC. When you take it through an oral administration, it does go to the small intestine first, and there's ideas and concepts that show it may actually improve the gut lumen, and specifically the barrier of your gut, so that small little area that's keeping your shit in your stomach and not in your body can get damaged, actually, and this is a compound which can enhance it and even protect it from getting damaged in the future. Kind of effective, but he's also injecting it, which has more of a systemic effect and can repair soft tissues such as tendons, ligaments, things like that. Then you have an assortment of other things. You have MOTS-C, which is an exercise mimetic. It's basically going to increase mitochondrial biogenesis and the density of mitochondria, increasing basically how much ATP one produces, which is almost wasteful to energy, but as a point, that wastefulness is making somebody stay generally leaner, but also have more energy to call upon whenever they're doing activities, such as mental activities or physical activities. And then he's using Lantus, and then I'm assuming Humalog. So Lantus is a long-acting insulin. It usually is quoted to have day-long coverage. It's not exactly true when you look at the mechanics of it, but it's, a longer-acting insulin that people will take to control blood glucose throughout the day, especially when they're eating exorbitant amounts of carbohydrates. I mean, these guys often will get up to 800 to 1,000 grams of carbohydrates a day. And then you pair that with Humalog, which is a very, very short-acting and fast-acting insulin. Usually its peak serum concentrations are going to be within 30 minutes of administration, and that's usually placed around the workout or with very large meals to help kind of maintain glucose homeostasis and make it so that you're not damaging your pancreas long-term. It's both a sort of prophylactic sense of a use of drug and also a performance-enhancing drug through its action on JAK-STAT and increasing mTOR through its different activities. Molecularly, I said I wasn't going to go into depth here. I'm kind of already doing that. Fuck. Then you have Masteron, which is a DHT derivative, a dihydrotestosterone derivative. This is a compound that is non-estrogenic. It's neutral in terms of its estrogenic effect, but it's an anabolic. It's seen as one of the cleaner options in terms of steroids because of its side effect profile being so limited, and testosterone itself is obviously the parent hormone to a lot of these things, and one that your body knows how to run off and you need generally for the production of estrogen and subsequent metabolites as well. And to be honest about this cycle, it's really not that much. I'm surprised he's taking so little. I thought it was going to be a much larger number, and I'm happy to hear that it's not. It still sounds to me like he's taxing his system, and it's possible that he's even used more in the past. He is obviously very genetically gifted, but again, just his breathing alone concerns me in the fact that there is some form of cardiac stress that is audible, and when it gets to an audible point, I'm concerned already. I'm already concerned. We need to get an echocardiogram. We need to get an EKG. We need to test for sleep apnea if he doesn't already have a CPAP, which is vital in all sense.
Sleep apnea at 20? I mean, if all this is coming from the steroid use, I mean, my man is crashed. He's done. Put a fork in him.
Of the ways. And further than that, he needs to get almost, I would prefer, a full body imaging.
The Flint Silver
thing where he can look at his circulatory system and see if there's any dysfunction or clotting or any kind of factors there that might be of concern. What is his hematocrit? How thick is his blood? These are all things I start to think about when I'm hearing somebody like this, and I do talk to a lot of them. People come up to me in the gym, and they talk to me, and I can tell when somebody's using a lot of gear. One, it's obvious because of their physique, but two, a lot of times they sound just like this, sitting there doing nothing, just chilling, and that is so concerning, you guys. It is not where you want to be as a person. It is not. And I was there once, right? Like I had that same sort of pattern of breathing, and people would comment about it like, oh dude, like why do you sound like that? Like, are you okay? We're breathing so heavy. And I would just be like playing games or something, and I'd be sitting there like, literally, not even kidding. And I wouldn't recognize there was a problem because I was so far into it and I was so absorbed into the path of bodybuilding that I was like, whatever, I'm just a big guy, you know, it's just part of being a big guy. But it wasn't. It was not that. When I tested my ejection fraction, I think it was 23 or 24. It was lower than it should have been. It was like almost 40 some odd percent. It was, I can't remember the exact number. If I can, I'll give it to my editor and I'll throw it up here. But it was not good comparatively to where I would have wanted it to be for my age. And it was due to the amount of edema and cardiac stress I was placing on my body. So the fact of the matter is while he's taking relatively lower doses, as he said himself, it's still dangerous. It still has its consequences, and everybody reacts differently. And he may be one of those individuals that is reacting maybe a little bit poorly to the combination of things that he's using. But, you know, at the end of the day.
And if it's having this effect on him now, when a person who knows about drugs, because he was a drug addict himself, and I believe probably still takes to a certain amount, we do know that it's going to increase tremendously, especially the more he progresses and the more famous he gets and the more he gets into the bodybuilding. We know it's going to get worse. This man is a toaster on 24/7. He's the air fryer on 100 hours straight going because his insides right now are cooking, boy. They flaming up like a barbecue. It's going to be crazy.
Hey, this guy is really jacked. Like, he is really fucking jacked, and he's doing an amazing job in the sport of bodybuilding as far as it's concerned. I do worry about his health. I do worry about the consequences of these actions, especially for the later version of himself. And there's an interesting concept that I kind of consider, and it's that a lot of the kids that we've covered around this age group are taking wild doses, far higher than what he's taking, far higher. And they look like shit. They look like garbage, and they're still taking more gear. And you can't help but think, man, are they looking at him and being like, well, he looks amazing. You know, like I should take more than him. I'm going to be more amazing than him, and then follow this perpetuating path and pursue it. Because to be quite frank with you, most of you watching this video could probably take as much, if not more, than he is taking and get far, far, far less results. Like, honestly, really depressing results. Bodybuilding is a very genetic game, and I think you have to understand something that's really important and nobody wants to recognize. But when you are not achieving a set goal for yourself, when you're not
and that's what I'm trying to say. And that's another thing they're not showing these kids, that, yo, listen, it's not going to work for you. The reality is the percentages that these bodybuilders could get on their YouTubes and in the videos and take a couple seconds to explain this and just put it out there, just like you put your sponsors garbage because it's all about fucking money and you don't really give a fuck about these children. Why don't you put it out there, at least this disclaimer, like, listen, 90% of you, if you do what I'm doing, you're not going to look like me. You're going to look like shit. And it's not going to work for you, and you're going to be putting your health in jeopardy for no fucking reason. You ain't going to make no money. You ain't going to be no big YouTuber. You ain't stepping on no stage and doing shit. Why can't they just do this? Because it will hurt their image. Because they're all about their bottom line. And at the end of the day, they hurting children, man. They drug addicts and they hurting children. And now they pushing this peptide bullshit that comes from China or wherever, and they'll test the first batch, but then it's all poison. It's the same shit. It's the same shit. It's steroids. It's poison.
Achieving realistic amounts of gains per month, per year, you kind of have to tell yourself, hey man, maybe this isn't for me. You know, maybe abusing the completely ridiculous level of gear that I'm doing is not the best idea for me, because I'm not getting the results that I should be from what I'm doing. It's a consideration that I think a lot of people don't make, and honestly one that needs to happen more often. You need to have this like sort of come to Jesus moment and say to yourself, it's not worth it. I'm not getting the results that other people are who have better genetics, and that doesn't make me a lesser person. That doesn't make me undesirable. desirable person. It just means that this is not the path that I should be taking, and I should realize that my life matters more than how many drugs I can take to achieve a net neutral result. That is what I realized when I was bodybuilding. Quite frankly, a lot of you know already, I talk about it sometimes, but I have cerebral palsy. My right leg looks like shit, and it's always atrophied. I can barely move my foot, and bodybuilding was something that I really thoroughly enjoyed for a long time, but I started to realize that just no matter what I did, no matter how many fucking milligrams of gear I took, no matter how shit-faced I got myself by eating carbohydrates, I literally would never look the way that I wanted to look, and it was not worth it. For a long time, it detracted me from my friends and family, and I learned very quickly after the fact, where I had like this sort of come to Jesus moment, that I was really glad I did that. I was really glad that I stopped, because again, saw the value in rather being somebody who can educate and help other people and trying to make them make the best decisions versus being the guy who's actually doing it all. So anyways, I hope you enjoyed the video. If you could, honestly, the biggest support you could ever make.
Well, that's what I'm saying, man. It's just, it's sad to me to see all these young men and women go down this path, and it's just because when you start these things and you go deep, like right now, it don't matter, right? The health issues are already there. Even if someone can get through this young man and be like, listen, just stop now, right? It could still be too late. Now, it's always better to stop because you never know. But when it gets to this stage, when the influence from these bodybuilders has corrupted the minds of the youth, like this young man, ain't nothing we could tell him now, because he has his eyes on what he believes is the prize that he believes he's going to achieve. How many of you think this man is going to be Nick Walker? How many of y'all follow Nick Walker and see all he does and he still can't reach the ultimate achievement that he wants to reach just yet? He's never going to be Nick Walker. He's never probably even going to be a top 5 bodybuilder in whatever he's trying to choose. An open bodybuilding, obviously, because he wants to be a mass monster. He's not. And it's more than 90% you're doing this for no reason. All you're doing is reaching. This is like unaliving yourself. This is what is basically what it is when you take drugs. And this peptide shit hidden in the same thing, just like Ozempic was, and it was blinding people. I just don't understand why people just can't have discipline. Calorie deficit. Get on a lifestyle that fits you. Give it a try. But at a certain point, it's up to you and your choice to do what you feel and how you feel when you at a certain age. But it's a lot different when you feel, what if this message wasn't spread to the youth? What if we let them know the truth? That everybody doesn't have the same results. That it's only worth it if you actually make it. And the chances are you're not going to make it. You should never put your life on the line for less than 50% of anything that you believe is not going to be achievable. But I'm going to stop rambling now, because this is more deeper than that. But like I said, no hate. It's just how I feel. But I understand, if you're a bodybuilder, that's the business you're in, and you're going to take drugs and you're going to take steroids. My problem is pushing that to children and giving them a false image. But listen, I was 400 pounds, over 400 pounds. I'm 160 pounds now. Natural. I don't even drink protein. I eat my protein. salmon, chicken, yogurt, etc., etc. Whole foods. It's your responsibility to know what you're eating and what you're putting in your body. And that's another thing about peptides. Maybe you think they work, but they're not reliable. These companies would test the first batch and then they're giving you whatever. It's proven. It's that. Do your homework. You're responsible for what you put in your body. Peptides is poison. Get in a calorie deficit. Work out. Fast. All those things will get you and will fix your body. Everything your body does is natural. When you take these things to enhance, to push your body harder than it needs to, it's going to be consequences. But that is your choice. But don't take the choice from the youth to do the right thing. This is Heavy No More. I'm your host, Jaffe. Please like, share, subscribe. Because we got a positive message here. And it's not just about bodybuilding. We're here on weight transformation and on your weight journey. But this is my channel. And I'm going to talk about what the fuck I want. So you can get on the comment and say what you want. I keep it a buck. If you don't like me, I don't like you. If it's fuck me, then fuck you. Bury your fucking dead. I'm out.